Papua New Guinea is at a breaking point. Crime is out of control, families are struggling to survive. Corruption is bleeding the country dry. The frustration is real, and the demand is growing louder. Prime Minister James Marape must step down. But here's the real question. If Marape resigns today, will that actually solve PNG's problems? Here are 7 major reasons why many believe Marape's leadership has failed. 1. Law and order. A nation held hostage by crime. Papua New Guinea is becoming ungovernable. Tribal conflicts, violent crime, and lawlessness have spiraled out of control. The government has lost control of the streets, and citizens no longer feel safe in their own country. Tribal wars in the highlands have turned into full-scale conflicts, where entire villages are being burned to the ground. Criminal gangs operate freely, terrorizing towns and cities with armed robberies, home invasions, and brutal killings. Police are underfunded, outnumbered, and in some cases actively participating in crime. The justice system is slow and ineffective, allowing criminals to walk free with little to no consequences. Despite government funding and promises to improve security, the country remains dangerously unstable. 2. Cost of living. Families are struggling to survive for ordinary Papua New Guineans. Life has never been harder. Food prices are skyrocketing, fuel costs are out of control, and wages remain stagnant. The price of basic goods like rice, flour, and tinned food has surged beyond what many can afford. High transportation costs make it even harder for rural communities to access affordable goods. Foreign imports dominate the market, making PNG highly vulnerable to price fluctuations. Unemployment continues to rise, while opportunities for small businesses remain limited. The government claims the economy is improving, yet most Papua New Guineans are struggling just to put food on the table. 3. Corruption. The cancer that won't stop. Corruption is suffocating PNG's progress. Public funds disappear, politicians enrich themselves, and government accountability is non-existent. Millions of kina vanish through fraudulent contracts and mismanagement. Politicians and senior officials continue to exploit public money with no consequences. Public service payrolls are filled with ghost names, draining funds meant for development. Anti-corruption efforts, such as ICAC, have done little to stop the rot, with no high-profile convictions. Despite repeated promises to fight corruption, PNG remains one of the most corrupt countries in the region. 4. Take Back PNG, an empty slogan. Marape's government campaigned on the promise to take back PNG and put more control of the country's resources into the hands of Papua New Guineans. But 5 years later, nothing has changed. Foreign companies continue to dominate PNG's mining, gas, and petroleum industries. Landowners remain marginalised, seeing little benefit from resource projects on their land. PNG still imports most of its essential goods, rather than developing its own industries. Efforts to boost agriculture and local business have failed to make any significant impact. Instead of PNG taking control of its future, the country is more dependent than ever on foreign interests. 5. Public services. A collapsing system. Basic services in PNG are failing at an alarming rate. Hospitals, schools, roads, and government institutions are falling apart. Hospitals suffer from constant drug shortages, leaving patients without life-saving medication. Schools lack proper facilities, teachers are underpaid, and many children do not receive quality education. Roads and infrastructure remain in poor condition, cutting off communities and hindering economic growth. Billions of kina are allocated for public services, but there is little visible improvement. Despite large budgets, the government has failed to provide even the most essential services to its people. 6. Civil unrest, PNG's cycle of violence. January 2024 was a clear sign that PNG is on the verge of collapse. Protests over government failures escalated into riots, looting, and destruction. Angry mobs burned buildings, looted businesses, and left entire streets in ruins. The economy took a massive hit, with businesses suffering millions in damages. This isn't the first time PNG has experienced such chaos. History shows that unrest follows every major government failure. The government's failure to address people's frustrations has led to a culture of destruction rather than constructive change. 7. Leadership. A cabinet full of incompetence. One of Marape's greatest failures is his choice of ministers. The people who run PNG's key government departments are failing to perform their duties. Ministers are often chosen based on political loyalty rather than competence. Many government departments lack proper leadership, resulting in poor decision-making and stalled development. Non-performing ministers remain in power even when their failures are obvious. Instead of demanding results, Marape has allowed weak leadership to cripple his government. Without strong and capable ministers, PNG's problems will only continue to grow. Final thought. Is it just leadership, or is PNG's system broken? James Marape's government has failed to fix crime, corruption, the economy, and basic services. The frustration and anger of the people are justified, but here's the bigger question. Will a new Prime Minister fix these issues? PNG has been a democracy for almost 50 years. But has democracy really worked for PNG, or is the system itself broken? Elections are filled with violence, corruption, and vote buying. People don't always vote for the best leader. They vote for family, tribe, or money. Ministers are appointed based on political alliances, not their ability to lead. Competence is not a requirement in PNG's leadership structure. The government struggles to control the country. Law and order are weak, and corruption has become a way of life. Maybe PNG's problem isn't just bad leadership. Maybe the system itself is failing. So, what's the solution? Should PNG adopt a stricter government system? Some countries function under a dictatorship or a strongman leader who takes full control. Would that work better? Should PNG take a religious approach to governance? Marape recently declared PNG a Christian country. Should the government be structured around religious laws, like in some Middle Eastern countries? Should PNG rethink democracy altogether? Is Western-style democracy suited for a country with strong tribal and communal structures? Should there be a new PNG-specific system of governance that better reflects its culture? These are the questions Papua New Guineans must start asking. Because if democracy isn't working, then what will? So, what do you think? Is the problem Marape, the system, or democracy itself? Should PNG try a different style of government? Let's have this conversation. Like, share, and subscribe to keep this discussion going.